Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back. We're looking at question number 3 here on the 2008 grade 7 Gauss. Question 3 asks us, what is a half plus a quarter plus an eighth? Alright, well, it's just adding fractions. And as I remarked in the last video, you can get your calculator out, but I'm not going to give you that whole speech again. I'm just going to do this by hand. And how do we add fractions? Well, we get a common denominator. And I notice all of these are factors of 8, so that's a suitable common denominator. So what do? Well, I multiply top and bottom in 1/2 by 4 over 4. 4 over 4 is technically 1, so it doesn't change things. It doesn't change the meaning of this. It just changes the symbols we use. We get a 4 on top and an 8 on the bottom. And now I've got an 8 on the bottom, so that makes it very easy to add. For 1/4, how do I turn 4 into 8? I multiply by a 2, but I can't change the fraction by just multiplying by a 2 on the bottom, so I have to multiply by 2 over 2, because multiplying by 1 doesn't actually change anything. So we're left with 2 over 8. And now that we have a common denominator, adding just becomes adding the numerators. So 4 plus 2 plus 1, 7. So we get 7 over 8. Okay, and that was one of the answers. It's D. So we're going to go with D here. Final note, just for people who used your calculators, you can set your calculator into, most calculators can be set into sort of a fraction setting, where it'll actually, you can input the 1 over 2, not 0.5. You can input the 1 over 4. And things like that. But a lot of people don't actually know how to do that. I'm not going to tell you how to do that because possibly your brand of calculator is different than my brand of calculator. But I will say that a lot of calculators, the way you would enter this in would be 1 over 2, which would give you 0.5. 1 over 4, 0.25. 1 over 8, 0.125. And it would add them all up, and it would spit out an answer in decimal, not the fractions that they give you here. Okay? All these answers are fractions. So what would I do if I was stuck with a decimal answer on my calculator? You know, I do 0.5 plus 0.25 plus 0.125, and I get 0.875. Okay, I get 0.875 on my calculator, and I say, that doesn't look like any of the answers. Now, we can immediately rule out A, which is 1, because 0.875 doesn't look like 1. But how do I know if this is 3/14 or 3/8 or something like that? Okay. Well, if I don't know how to convert between fractions and decimals on my calculator, which you might not, the next best thing to do would be to write down this 0.875. That's the answer I got when I did the calculation. Okay. And then what can I do? Well, I'll hit clear, and what I'll do is I'll take each of their answers in turn. You know, B is 1/64th, so I'll figure out 1/64. I'll plug that in. That gives me a decimal answer. And it's, 0.015. It's very clearly not 0.875. Okay, so B isn't the right answer. And then we do 3/14. That's 0.214. That's not the right answer. That's not the one we got. And then we get to 7/8, which is D. Oh, that's 0.875. So that would be how I would figure it out if my calculator is just giving me decimals. I don't want to add the fractions manually like I did in the question, and I don't know my calculator well enough to convert from decimal to fraction. Okay? So, and then, for completeness sake, you could check 3 over 8, and you'd get 0.375, something like that. Okay? But that's how you would handle the question if you were really devoted to your calculator, but you didn't know how to do fractions on your calculator. Okay? But, yeah, that's question number 3. Not a whole lot more to say about it. I will see you guys for question number 4 in the next video. So long.